everybody. Welcome to Xavia Fox Talks, and I am your host, Xavia Fox. I bet you already knew that, though, huh? Today, I am here talking with Mr. Allan Wesley. He's the author of this wonderful book here, Who is the Man in Your Bed? Do you know the man in your bed? You might think you know the man in your bed, but some of us really don't know who that man in our bed is. So we may want to check it out. Allan Wesley is going to give us some tips on that. So, right now, with no further ado, I'd actually like to introduce you to, via Skype, we are satelliting him in. We're getting high tech here on Xavia Fox Talk. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Allan Wesley. All right, Mr. Wesley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Wesley?
Okay. I am a former vice president of a Fortune 500 company, and I used to be in the IT department, and I got into writing a couple of years ago. And as I got into writing books, not really writing books, but just writing in general, I realized that there was certain information that I wanted to put out there, particularly on relationships. So I started focusing more in that particular area. I currently reside in Spring Hill, Florida. I moved down from New York maybe 5-6 years ago. And I currently also write for 2 magazines. I think there's one called Novella magazine, as well as the Trinidad Express Women's magazine. I'm a contributing writer for those 2 magazines.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, also joining us today, I have someone who read the book from cover to cover, and I must add that she enjoyed it immensely. So I want to welcome Miss Tish Stour to the set of Xavia Fox Talks.
Okay.
So Tish, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Okay. My name is Tish Stour, and I currently reside in Chicago. I'm a divorced single mother of 2 college-age students. I currently work in the sales field, and I've been single now for the past 3 years, dating here and there, had a couple of relationships, but probably could have avoided those hits had I read the book before. So I am excited about today's session.
So, Mr. Wesley, or can I call you Allan?
Absolutely.
Okay, Allan. So tell me, what made you write the book? What was your inspiration? There's a lot of guys that's a little perturbed with you because you have broken the man code. So tell us why you decided to write the book.
Sure, not a problem. Maybe over 10 years ago, actually, it's been a very long time, I was out with some fellow co-workers, and we were having drinks, and there was this one particular co-worker who, maybe he had too much to drink, but he just started to boast about cheating on his girlfriend, the fact that she will never be able to discover the fact that he was cheating, and, I'm there listening to him, and I'm thinking, wow, wait a minute, what if this guy was really hooked up with my sister? I really wouldn't like that. Or worse, what if he was with one of my daughters? But at that time, I did not have, kids. I subsequently had 2 girls. And so it started a chain of thought in my head that maybe I should write a book that's going to reveal to women who are not only naive, as apparently his girlfriend was, but for women who can utilize this information. And again, this was more than 10 years ago. And when my first daughter was born, the whole idea came to me, well, okay, now that you're a father, as a father, I do have some responsibility. I have a daughter, and as a dad, I'm supposed to tell her about life. And we know that relationships and men and men interacting is definitely a part of life. I used to be a particular guy in a particular lifestyle, and I figured, you know what, I'll just put all that information together. And again, this is on top of that boast that co-worker years ago. I decided I need to write this book not only for my daughters, but for the benefit of other women out there. Hence, reason why the book actually came to fruition.
Okay, so you actually did. You have a daughter now.
Two.
Two daughters. And so you said
Yeah.
you used to be a particular kind of guy, so I'm assuming you had a little player days going on.
Unfortunately, well, yeah, back then.
Okay, so you spilled a few of the secrets. Well, since Tish has read the book, I'm going to let her give her synopsis as a female who read the book. And
Tish, tell us a little bit about what you read.
Okay. I thought that the book was very informative, very well written, very easy to read, very easy to understand the principles behind it. It kind of reminded me of Steve Harvey's first book, but I liked the approach in this book a little bit better because when I read Steve Harvey's book, I just could imagine him standing in my face screaming everything at me. And when I read your book, it was more like the big brother kind of having a conversation with me saying, okay, little sister, I need you to watch for this, this, and this. And if, you know, if you get into this situation, then here's A to Z of what you need to do to protect yourself and to make the best decision for yourself. So specifically getting into the book, what is funny, I was sharing with my brother on the way over here last night, I went to a party, and it was shortly, I actually had just finished the book shortly before going to the party, and so when this young man approached me, he said to me, hey, you're a nice looking young lady, and I said, thank you, and then he said, can I take you out for breakfast? And I went, for what? So I normally would not have responded like that, but I think in my mind was fresh, so I immediately was on the defense, like, okay, what's your game? How long is it going to take me to figure it out? And where are we going with this? But he handled it so well. He just said, well, people like to eat, so I figured breakfast would be a good start. And so then that lowered my guard back to who I normally am. And I just joked and said, hey, you know, I'm not a morning person, so the last place you want to do is ever take me to breakfast. And then he said, oh, no, that's exactly what I want to do is I want to see all sides of you. So what he did was, he put me back at ease, but I will admit I was on the defense because I was just thinking, you know, we're at this party, we're in that scenario. Usually parties are kind of, you know, set up, geared towards the quick fix. And so instead of being the one that was, you know, going to be the target, this time I was going to be the smart one and be on top of the game. So, but again, you know, I realized I probably had my defenses up too much at that point, but then again, because he was nice enough about it, I went back to my normal self. So I will say that the book did help me to kind of keep my eyes open, because I will admit in my dating experience, I might have been a little bit gullible at some points, but then towards the end of the book, when you talk about using technology to find out exactly what's going on behind the scenes, that is something that I had become accustomed to, using the internet to search for things, using the computer to look for certain signs. Those were things that I had actually instinctively picked up.
Let me just ask a question.
Okay.
I want to ask both of you this question, but I'm going to start with you, Allan. Do you think that maybe books like these do put women on the defensive? As she said, she went, and when he asked her to breakfast, you know, your normal, I mean, I love breakfast.
so when I think of eggs and hash browns and steak and biscuits, I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm ready to go. But do you think that, you know,
books like these may put women a little bit more on the defensive? This one, you know, Steve Harvey, and there's a few others that are coming out. Do you think it makes them defensive or more suspicious?
Well, there is a possibility that, you know, that obviously can happen, but I believe in the book I stressed that the purpose of my book, well, actually the book's written for two types of women. Women who are looking for a very serious relationship, and the first part of the book really deals with that. The second part of the book deals more with women who want to find out whether or not the guy is being faithful, and the different techniques that Trish alluded to that read. Now, one of the things I stressed in the book is that the knowledge that I'm giving women in this book that they're being provided with is knowledge that they can be comfortable dealing with any guy. Now, you're not necessarily going to be on the defensive right away, but the fact that that you have this knowledge, you should be more at ease with yourself, knowing that, hey, if this guy approaches me, and if he's going to be up to any tricks, then I got that covered because I've read this book. So that's pretty much what I'm looking for. That's my intent for the book.
Okay. So let me ask you, Tish, do you think that because of the book you were a little bit more on the defensive last night?
I think so. Not only that book, it was a couple of websites. It was like a bunch of things happening all at once. But as you said, I did let my guard down because I realized I'm not being myself now. Now I'm this other person because of new information. But in addition to that, I realized all he asked me for was breakfast. He didn't ask me to go down the aisle. He didn't ask me to skip steaks with him. He just asked for breakfast. So when I calmed myself down, I was like, okay, and we were fine. So we exchanged numbers, and it was fine. So, and you're absolutely right. I think I jumped the gun. I did. So it was okay. It worked out okay. And after that, I realized, just like you said, the book is a tool and a resource. It's not intended for it to be a defense mechanism so you can carry this badge around that, hey, I'm going to get you before you get me. It's not that intention at all. So I got that. I calmed that.
Foxy, I see you.
This girl, Miss Fox, thinks she gonna eat our loaded yam, the whole thing, but that ain't going on. Jimmy Jam gonna smash it.
With my guest, Xavia Fox from Xavia Fox Talks.
And you can tell everybody what you want to be called by.
Xavia Fox here, still on the red carpet, represents
X. X was good.